messing up with the tempos like that. You ordinarily wouldn't mix up the two. You play a whole set of reels or a whole set of jigs. And the reason we do that, as Eugene said, is actually for the dancing. You can imagine, if you were here in Ireland 50 or 60 years ago, this music was never performed on a stage the way you do it now, in ensemble form. You would be at a dance and you'd hear this music, and the dancing was the most important part. And you'd have a man on the floor called the caller, and he would organise all of his dancers into whatever shape they were going to do, because all the dances have different shapes. And then you turn around to the musicians and say, reels, go. And we'd play reels, like a cheap acoustic jukebox. And then we shout over the bar, more Guinness for the jukebox. And they'd bring us pints and we'd play all night. But it's tune after tune after tune in the same tempo. And we basically play for as long as they're dancing. The length of a set of tunes depends on the fitness of your dancers. So we're told when to start and when to stop. Now this is very, very boring, playing the same tune over and over again, because you're only about 38 bars, 32 bars in the tune. And by the time you've played it once, about 45 seconds has gone by. So you usually play it twice or 3 times just to let it sink in, and then you have a nod of each other and you change it. And then you keep going until you're told to stop. Now it's different nowadays. We play an ensemble form ever since that gig in town that Eugene mentioned. And we organise the music a little bit better amongst ourselves. So that's where you hear tune after tune. Now if we messed up the tempos like that, and we had dancers, we'd have another river dance. And we don't want to go down that road again. The original was okay, but then all the cheap, nasty copies and the repetition. My God, Michael Flat. But, yeah, right. Lord of the Fake Town, that's what it is. But, no, so we just mixed up the two there to show you the difference between the two. They're the two most common types of dance rhythm we have. There's lots and lots of them. There's variations on all of them as well. So you'll have barn dances and hornpipes and polkas and mazurkas and slides and hops. You'll have, I learned a new one yesterday, lancers. Did you ever play a lancer? I was playing yesterday with a very knowledgeable young man who went on for hours with all the different types of dancing. It was fascinating. It was really weird to watch all the people in the room like, it's amazing. I'm sitting here beside him going, oh, that's amazing. I didn't know myself. But there's lots of them. But the two most common types are jigs and reels. So I'll explain them. A jig is in 6/8 time, and a reel is in common time, or 4/4. Now, I had to be told what they were as well when I was studying. I never studied music. Because we didn't, that's not the way Irish people learn music. We learn by sitting down and copying other people until we can do it ourselves. So a jig was just something that went diddly, 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 diddly to me. Right, then when I found out what it was, it still is. It still is. They all sound the same. All this music sounds the same. Right? Diddly, 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 diddly. I'm only in it for the cash. One day I'll get some. Did you hear about the joke about the Irish musician who won the lottery? He's going to keep on playing until all the money's gone. But no, a jig is in 6/8, and that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 2 waltzes. Or if I was like teaching this to a child, for example, I wouldn't say 6/8 because then I'd have to explain fractions. And the child would say, hold on, Anthony, this is maths, I'm bored already. And I'd say, you know what, so am I, let's go to the pub. And he'd say, I'd love to go to the pub with you, Anthony, but I'm only 8. I'd say, well, that's not a problem, you stay outside, but mind my bicycle, tell your mother the lessons are going really well. No, I give him a little sing-song thing to sing instead, and a good one for a jig is to repeat rashers and sausages, rashers and sausages, rashers and sausages, rashers and sausages, which if you've had one you'll know is your Irish breakfast. The rasher being the slice of bacon, it's a rasher of bacon. The sausage, if you're curious, is unidentified bacon. And if you're eating your Irish breakfast, just eat the black pudding, don't ask questions. It's the vegan option. So that's a jig, rashers and sausages. The reel is in common time, or 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or Black and Decker, Black and Decker, Black and Decker, Black and Decker. Or Eugene prefers gin and tonic, gin and tonic. My own preferred rhythm for a reel is Who's Your Daddy, Who's Your Daddy, Who's Your Daddy. I don't teach children, by the way. I'm gonna sing a song that is a jig. We were talking about the dancing being the reason we play this music. What happened before that, there was two very, very different schools. One was songs and the other was the tunes. And they rarely mixed. They only started to mix when the Irishmen started to go abroad and they met in pubs instead of in people's houses. And they all had a bit of a song, had a tune, because they were strangers, so they sang songs to get to know each other. And there was kind of a crossover between the two cultures. And then in the 1950s, when the dancing got really, really popular here, we would be out playing for the dancers, and you might run out of specific dance tunes because there wasn't that many of them. We've only been playing dance music in Ireland since this, 18th century, 1700s, so it's relatively new to us. And so we'd run out of tunes, and what you do then, there was loads more songs because we've been singing them for years. So you'd take a song, add in a few extra notes, ornamentation we call it. You might explain to me actually ornamentation. It's fascinating. Ornamentation, and make it sound Irish. In other words, put the diddlies in. We actually, as musicians, I don't know, but most traditional musicians hate that phrase, diddly eye music. It's used as an insult. Get in there and play some diddly eye music. We were playing for years in a pub, and people were ignoring us and throwing things over our heads, breeze blocks and bottles. There was fights going on, and it's a fascinating pub. 3 years every week we played there 3 nights a week. One day the fiddle player went up to the owner and says, "Why the hell do you have us in this pub?" We're like, "Nobody likes Irish music." He says, "You're cheaper than bouncers and you keep the knackers out." True story. Right, I'm going to sing this song. This is a song called Cúnla, and it turns into a tune, so Eugene, I'll give Eugene a nod, he might play a bit of the tune. The song is called Cúnla, and Cúnla is an Irish name, it's a man's name. And Cúnla goes out in the night to woo a young lady. Now, wooing is very old-fashioned. Not very people get wooed anymore. You'll know what wooing is if you're 103 or you've read a Jane Austen novel. But here in Dublin, wooing is 8 Bacardi breezers and a kebab. Get your coat, you've pulled. Said, "You're wearing my coat." Oh yeah. Right, so here we go. It's Jake.
That's so sweet.
There, knocking me window pane. Who's that there, knocking the window pane? Oh, Jesus, Cúnla. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Maybe I wouldn't do Cúnla. Who was that there, knocking the front door? Who was that there, knocking the front door? Who was that there, knocking the front door? Only Jesus, Cúnla. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Maybe I should have said Cúnla. Climbing the stairs to me, who was that there? Climbing the stairs to me, who was that there? Climbing the stairs to me, only Jesus, Cúnla. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Maybe I should have said Cúnla. Who was that there? Knocking the bedroom door. Who was that there? Knocking the bedroom door. Who was that there? Knocking the bedroom door. Only Jesus, Cúnla. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Maybe I should have said Cúnla. Kissing the toes of me, who's that there? Tickling the toes of me, who's that there? Kissing the toes of me, Jesus, Cúnla. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Cúnla, dear, don't come ye near to me. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Maybe I shouldn't say Cúnla. Kissing the thighs of me, who's that there? Tickle the thighs of me, who's that there? Kissing the thighs of me, only Jesus, Cúnla. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Cúnla, dear, don't come any near to me. Cúnla, dear, don't. I already have, says Cúnla.